Hello and welcome to Cutter Farms. We're back with another episode of Edgewater, Saskatchewan, and today we're finally going to wrap up the contract we've been doing over here in Field 6. This has been one of the larger fields on the map, and it's been a lot of fun to knock this contract out. Last time we finished up the main section of this field. If I bring up the map here, you can see that it's a fairly curvy field, lots of irrigation ditches, I guess, going through here, creeks, and we need to jump into the combine here and knock out the last 20% of this field. Now, last time we ended up here on this field, I couldn't figure out how to get across to that other section. Technically, there's a road entrance on the south side there. It's a little bit easier to see if I pop open the full map. There's a road I could take to get into the bottom part of this field. This section right here is what we need to do. However, I called the farmer up on the phone here. South Sask Modding was kind enough to point out that there is a culvert, a driveway I can get across this ditch right here. And so I drove over here, and sure enough, there's a little connector here to get over to this other section, which is going to make our lives so much easier. So we're going to go ahead and take advantage of that and jump right in over here into this field, see if we can knock out the last little bit of this canola. And I did bring the grain cart over here just so that we can haul that grain back up to the semi rather than driving the semi all the way down here. Because I think we're going to have room to get the rest of this contract into the semi. So we'll go ahead and knock this out real quick. Alright, so we are getting pretty full here. We've taken the headland passes off. I'm going to just drive this forward until we actually top off here in a few feet. Nice. And we're going to jump out and grab the grain cart here over in the other section of the field. Get this combine unloaded, and then we should be able to wrap this field up pretty quick. The headlands really took off the bulk of this field, so I'm excited that we'll probably get out of here with just the grain cart. I don't think we're going to have to make too many trips here. I think we'll be able to get the rest of this field into the grain cart and maybe a load in the semi-hopper here, but it's not going to be a lot of trips back and forth, that's for sure. Our intent with taking on this contract is to get a little bit of money and hopefully buy some additional land. And I haven't really looked at the land prices in the area here. We've got field 1. It'd be really nice to get one of these smaller fields kind of close to the farm here, I think. And they're not that expensive. This one's 60,000. This one's 57, almost 58,000. And so one of these two fields is kind of what I've got my eye on right now. That would give us 3 big sections in order to do different crops. And so that's where we're hoping to get if we go ahead and get started again here with the combine. I do have the GPS line from the other end of the field there loaded up so we can square off these rows to be going the same way as our path on the other end of the field here and just work our way down there. I don't know exactly where that's going to line up, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a line here and see what it looks like. It looks like it's slightly different angle than we are up here. That's all right. We're going to have plenty of hopper capacity to cut through, and I'll work on these shorter rows because I'm looking forward to just kind of cleaning up one end and working my way through rather than making big circles in this field. Our plan for crops in the spring is to run peas, lentils, and canola. That should allow us to really dig into all three of the crops since we've already done flax in our first harvest here. I'd love to check out these other crops that are on the map, so that's what we're going to focus on here. I did drop a mod called, I don't actually remember what it's called, Contract Helper or something like that. But it shows in the upper part of the screen here, just left of the clock area, the date area, the active contract and the percent complete. And I kind of like it because it's just a simple white, so it's not really in your face, it's not overly noticeable. But then I don't have to keep checking in the menus every time I want to see how far we are on a contract. So I thought that was a cool mod. We'll be installing that on our multiplayer servers and such as well moving forward, I think, just because it's so handy. The other thing I've done is I did update the grain cart here to have a less curvy effect when you're unloading it, so we'll have to test that out here as we unload that grain cart here soon, hopefully. But Pleasant View Farms was kind enough to point me in the right direction in the XML file for that, and so we made a real quick change to update it. And then I think he's actually released an updated version of that grain cart that's color selectable and has that tweak and some other tweaks to it on his itch.io page. So if you're looking to use that grain cart and you want those fixed, I think he's got a version of it on his itch.io page. As long as I'm here, we're going to go ahead and just dump into the grain cart again. We might actually let the worker tackle a few rounds here. Because it does look like the grain cart's getting full faster than I was expecting it to. And that way we can have the worker keep going on the harvest. We'll go empty that grain cart real quick into the semi and kind of take stock of that. I don't remember how full our semi was either, so there's lots of unknown questions here. Here we go. We'll do the always fun turn off GPS and hit the helper real quick. There he is. And yeah, we're 82% already here, so actually a little bit fuller than I anticipated. I could probably wait until it's fully topped off, but I'm really curious to go back over here and see where the semi's at. I don't remember how much grain is in that semi-trailer, and also I want to see if these animations are actually fixed, if I did it right, and that'll be fun to show off. So let's get to it. It looks like that combine didn't last very long. The AI helper wasn't able to figure out how to turn around when it got to the end of its short row, so we're not making as much progress on that field as I had hoped. That's all right. It's always something. And yeah, oops, the brakes still don't work very well on this thing, but the curve on the output of that grain looks so much more natural. So I'm digging that. That's a huge improvement for sure. Looks like we might actually fill the semi up here while we're here. I wasn't anticipating it to be quite this full, but it's getting full rather quickly. Oh, there we go. We did. We filled up the semi completely. So that's going to need to get run up to the co-op here soon, but we're going to go ahead and just run back out to the field as fast as we can and just get that combine going. I do want to knock this contract out ASAP, and we'll worry about hauling all the grain up as soon as we're done with harvest. I'm mostly confident now that we'll get the rest of this grain into the grain cart and the combine, so yeah, we're gonna go for it. If we fill up, we'll run the truck up then. I'm kind of surprised the workers struggled. It's not like we were on some really janky curves or anything. This is a fairly normalish looking set of angles for a field. Nothing too out of the ordinary, but it couldn't figure it out, so here we are. All right, we finally made it to the end of this field. We're on the big long pass. I think we've got a little bit to clean up here on the backside of these trees, but not a whole lot, so we're in the final stretches here. And we've only gotten about 38% of the canola in the hopper. We're gonna have no problems wrapping up this back part without needing to unload again. However, I am noticing the fuel in this combine. Man, it just goes like crazy compared to other vehicles. We're already getting really low here. It's flashing orange down there. Luckily, we do have the pickup over on the other end of the field here with fuel in it, but it just feels like this thing is ripping through the fuel at an accelerated rate. I don't know what's going on. I think it's that particular mod because if I remember correctly, I've got fuel usage on normal, and normally I feel like, you know, things don't really use that much fuel, but this thing is just thirsty. So we'll have to either maybe tweak the settings on this combine, because I've already filled it up more than once on this field. That's why we have the truck with the fuel tank out there, is I had to fill it up while we were doing the field before. So having to fill up multiple times in the field, maybe not that unrealistic. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I felt like we only refueled our combines like once a day when we were out harvesting, and we were running a 9500, so similar size combine, and I feel like we filled up the combine with fuel once during the day and did some maintenance and stuff on it, but maybe I'm just not remembering. Maybe we actually had to fill it up a couple times throughout the day during harvest. We haven't put that many hours on here though. We've only got 5 hours on the combine, and having to completely refuel it multiple times seems a little bit off to me. So we'll keep our eye on it. We may make some tweaks to the mod, or we may just set our fuel usage down a little bit. I'll have to take a look and see what the other mods are doing, and if anything else has been running out of fuel faster than it should. But that's going to wrap up the actual harvest part of this field, and I've got 161 bushels of canola left in the combine here. I think what we're going to do is go ahead and just dump that into the grain cart so that we can figure out where to put it a little bit later on. We might hold on to it, just because I don't want to have to run a semi all the way up to the co-op for 160 bushels. I think we've got multiple bins there on the farm, so we can toss it in one of those bins and hang on to it, especially if we're going to do our own canola harvest next year. We'll just store it, I think. There we go. I'm probably going the long way around this, but we're gonna run this back up to the farmyard while we're in it. I don't want to risk shutting it down and not being able to get it started back out, but with so a little fuel in here, I got to get as close to the fuel tank as possible, I'm thinking. I think I've only run out of fuel in a vehicle once in Farm Sim history. I think it was on my Westby playthrough. I think I ran out of fuel actually on this combine, I think, when I was out combining back in FS19. So seeing that flashing fuel bar down there is making me really nervous. I'm gonna sneak right out here onto the road. I'm gonna run this right back up to the yard while we're still in it, make our lives a little bit easier. We'll have to park this thing up by the shop and get it all washed up and refueled before we put it away. We're gonna have to move that auger over to one of the other bins as well to store that canola. I think we might move it over into that larger bin, just because I think we're gonna put canola in our biggest field when we go to do that here. So I'm gonna put this thing right in front of the shop here. we'll get it washed up and go over it once before we store everything for the winter. This thing is definitely going to need to get moved here, so I'm gonna go ahead and move it while I'm thinking about it. We're sitting right here. That looks about lined up. We're gonna have to hopefully squeeze the truck in here. We're gonna get the tops of the bins all closed / opened up as appropriate here. And back over here in the field, let's get the semi going and running, get our covers all closed up here, and we've got to find our way over to where we need to deliver this grain. I know we already ran a semi up there, but honestly, I can't remember exactly where it is. It looks like it's in the northern town there. So we're gonna hop in this thing and get trucking down the road and see if we can figure that out again. All the way up there in the corner. I have to say, I'm still loving this Kenworth truck. I'm not normally a Kenworth guy, but this truck runs great. I'm loving the sounds and just the general look and feel. Get this thing out here on the road. Could use a trailer mirror or something there to see a little bit better, but looks like we're doing good. The rolling hills on this map, I just love it. Nothing's flat. Everything's got just a bit of elevation change everywhere you go, everywhere you look. I'm loving it. I think the road we're looking for is actually up on the side of this hill here. Somewhere coming up here. Is it right here? Yeah, this is us. Oh, we got a car right there. Now, once again, I should have created an auto drive course for this. I wasn't thinking about it. A little bit too late now, but we're just enjoying driving the truck so much. I completely forgot that the last time we did this, we said we were going to create an auto drive course for this in the future, just so that if we need to deliver large amounts of grain, we've got it all set up and running. But we'll save that for when we're hauling our own grain later on. 90% sure that we need to turn left. Oh, yep, there's the red X's, so that makes that decision easy. This should take us right into town here now, and then once we're in town, I've just got to hang a right and head up to the elevator entrance. Should probably slow it down a little bit here as we go into town. I do love that the roads are under a little bit of construction here. It looks pretty cool in different places. And I think this is our driveway entrance right here to the elevator. Not a whole lot of other places to go, so sure hope so. Just to my left here. If I'm not mistaken, this is where we dumped it last time, so we'll pull it right on in here. There we go. Those tarps off, dumping that grain, looking good, looking good. We've transported 74% of the contract volume. Hopefully this one tops it off. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about that when we were setting up the auger, that we might not have enough in the semi right now. We might have to actually bring some back. Nope. We're gonna stop that. We're going to hang on to all of this that we can. We let a little bit more through than I probably would have wanted, but $1,000 in the bank, nothing to complain about. And we'll take this 32 bushels back up to the farm along with what's in the grain cart to hang on to until we can get to a better price point on canola. While I'm not sure it's worth it to hang on to it, it is at a pretty low price here, so we should see it come up in December to almost $56 a bushel. And right now, where we're at the moment is in the 40s. There's a 55 over here at Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That would be a maybe worth it to haul to, but that's all the way down here using the train, which it does cost money to secure the train. And so we're just not gonna bother monkeying around with all that right now. Like I said, we're just gonna toss this into our bins for the time being and worry about it when we've got more grain worth hauling around. It's not really worth it for me to be driving the semi around with, you know, a couple hundred bushel in it. So with that, we're gonna head right back up to the farm. If I can navigate all of this construction and traffic. And while we're driving, let's go ahead and make a quick call here and complete that harvest contract on field 6. Knocking that out is going to give us another $30,000. That puts us all the way up at 45 grand, which is a pretty nice spot to be in. That's almost to where we wanted to be for that. I think it was about 60 grand we're looking for to pick up one of these fields. We may just take out a little bit more of a loan to pick those up and go with it that way, I think. Just because, I don't know that I want to spend a lot of time doing more contracts this season. I think we'd rather just take on a little bit of debt and have more ground for farming here as we get into the next year. I think that's going to be our preferred method. Now, our yard is getting kind of full of equipment that needs to be cleaned up and set aside here. That's all right. I'm going to try and make my way through these tangle of branches and get this back pup trailer over here near the auger. I think if I can get right in here, we'll be able to unload this. Let's give it a shot. All right, a little bit of finagling, and I think we've got this all set up, so we'll go ahead and dump what we got here. And we better run out here. We've got a half-full grain cart sitting out here in the field that we also need to run up into the yard and get unloaded. Thank goodness for this driveway. If we had to take the long way around on the road, that would definitely take a minute with this tractor. Interestingly, we are also down to like 3/4 of a tank of fuel on this tractor, and we only have 2.9 hours on it. So by the time we get to the 5 hours on this tractor that the combine had, it might also be waiting for a refuel. So this tractor uses fuel at a rate that's half of the combine, maybe even a third of what the combine does. So that's just an interesting data point. And I'm gonna sneak in. I'm gonna go actually, I'm gonna go behind this thing and see if I can dump the grain into that semi hopper that's already lined up with the auger, just so I don't have to do any crazy shenanigans. We've got the pipe out here. I'm trying to make sure I don't smack into the bin or anything while we're doing it the crazy way. So this will be the easiest way to get this unloading. And then I'll run up here, jump in, and let the semi-trailer start dumping right back into the auger here at the same time. There we go. Looks like we've got everything all unloaded here out of the semi. Got everything all out of the grain cart, so we'll go ahead and move that just a little bit out of the way. Things are getting a little crowded here by the auger and the bins. And then we might as well jump into here and just make sure. Looks like everything's all emptied out of that, so I'm gonna pull this auger over here out of the way. And if we come over and check this bin, we got, yep, 10,000 liters of canola inside the bin. So we'll get the covers all closed up on that. Got 77,000 liters of flax, very nice. That translates into 304 bushels of canola, and flax is somewhere down here towards the bottom. A little bit under 2,200 bushels for flax. Sounds good. Both crops that will wait until this winter to get moved out. And so since we're all wrapped up there, I'm going to go ahead and pull this semi around, get it kind of out of the main way. We've got to get some room to get some equipment through here as we clean up the yard. I think I'll leave this sitting here right now with the trailers. And yeah, I'm going to be cleaning up a bunch of this equipment. We'll do all that off camera. You guys don't need to sit here and watch me run the pressure washer. Before we go, though, I think we're going to buy a field. I've been really kind of keeping my eye on these, and since one of these two fields has a crop in it already, it looks like there's winter wheat up in this crop right now, and it looks like it was very hastily put in. I think we're going to get field 50. That way I don't have to worry about dealing with somebody else's crop. I'd feel bad if I plowed it under. I really wanted to put a different crop in there anyway. So we're going to work with the bank here. I'm going to take out a loan all the way up to, I think, 300K. That's going to give me enough to buy the land that I want. Boom. And have a few bucks left over to handle day-to-day expenses as we get into things. If I just run over here real quick, we'll step into this field and take a look at how it is. We don't have any precision farming data on this field yet, so let's take care of that. We're going to come in here and purchase soil information, 5 grand. Good deal. And it looks like this is going to be a little bit better yielding field, at least for half of it. If you look at this first chunk of the field, we've got this loamy sand, which in my experience, I don't think it yields very well, but I guess I'm used to thinking about corn as a primary crop. I have to look at the values for the crops that we're going to be planting here and get a feel for how these are going to play out in the different soil types. That'll be a nice analysis we can do as we get into the planting season for sure. But we've got our third field. Excited about that, and we've wrapped up all of our fall activities now at this point. Tillage is done, harvest contracts are done. Yeah, we're good to go. So we'll be moving the clock forward here pretty rapidly, I think, until we get at least to the point where we can start selling some crops out of our bins here in December and seeing how things go in the next episode. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. That's all for today. Kedrick out. Doing it the crazy way. We're into the tree.